You're probably wondering, what happened to my nose? Well, I got in a fight with a hammer. But the only thing was, I was holding the hammer. And on May 11th, 2019, I also got in another fight in Australia, but this one was Perth. But this was a sanctioned fight, an MMA fight. And if you were stood in front of me at the HBF Stadium, you would have seen my post-fight interview. I'm there, my shoulders back, gold medal around my neck and a smirk on my face. Rob leans in with the microphone and goes, "Stafford, that was a great performance. Could you tell us a bit more that happened in the cage tonight?" I looked at him with a smile on my face and go, yeah, that was simple, effective violence and that, yeah, you know what I mean, and that. Rob looked at me as if to say, this interview's over. What I said held truth, but how I said lacked credibility, and here's why. Raise your hands if you can read this message behind these post-it notes. Oh, have we got a hand there? No. The reason that you can't read it is because of the clutter. The clutter makes it hard to digest, hard to understand. And in speech, your clutter is your filler words. Filler words occur when you are thinking of what to say. And whilst you're thinking, you may say words that consist of are, like, so, but, yeah, you know what I mean. And there's probably more to the list. And even if you're really, really knowledgeable in a certain subject, if you use these filler words, you will sound less competent and confident than you actually are. But if you start to peel these filler words away and take them away from your speech, not only does it simplify your message, not only does it make it easier to understand, but you also sound more credible. And you do this by pausing and by breathing. Now, before I go into the actual process to eliminate these filler words, if you want some more tools in the bag to help you speak clearly and confidently for meetings, presentations, and speeches, check out the first link below. And all I ask for is your email. Now, let's get back into the speech. Okay, we're gonna do a little task. Everyone, bit of yoga. Finger to thumb, finger to thumb. You don't need to sit down on the floor, just where you are. We're gonna breathe in. We're gonna breathe out. We're gonna breathe in. Now we're all gonna say and breathe out. We're gonna breathe in. We're gonna do it again. Now we're gonna breathe in, breathe out normal. Now this time you're gonna breathe in, but try and say Now breathe out. Do the same again. Breathe in, breathe out. Can you see the difference there? When you breathe in, you can't say a word. The only thing that you can hear is yourself gasping for air, which means if you can't say a word, you can't say any filler words. So when you're about to say a filler word, you need to process in your brain, okay, I need to breathe in right now and not breathe out. Because if you breathe in, you physically can't say these words. But that is a lot easier said than done. How can we actually build this into a routine that can stick and we can actually do it when we're speaking to a partner, in business, or even just with your kids? If I ask you, how many red cars have you seen today? You're probably going to say none, or you're going to say one. But now, because I've asked you this question, tomorrow I bet you see more than one red car. And it's not because there's no red cars today. It's because you're consciously aware of these red cars. And somehow, we have to do the same thing with filler words. You do this with the 3R method. Record, reflect, repeat. We'll start with record. 5 minutes per day. You're going to go on a walk. Walk about. Think of a topic. Think of a question. Tell a story. But you have to think of it right there and in the moment. It needs to be spontaneous. If you plan it before, you will think of combinations of sentences to put together. And when you do that, it's more of a planned speech. You are less likely to say these filler words. That's why it needs to be spontaneous. Number 2 is reflecting. You need to watch it back and see what filler words you use, because you may use a different filler word to your neighbor. And think, okay, I said there. Could I have breathed in, paused a little bit, and take a breath? And then that takes me on to repeating. You don't go to the gym. Do 1 bicep curl and expect to have big biceps. You get big biceps from doing the reps, doing the sets, and repeating it frequently. So with this 3R routine, you need to use these tools and do it daily so you can make it a habit. With these 3 tools, not only will it build awareness when you say these words, it will also build awareness when other people say these words. And when you start realizing when your other half is saying filler words, when your business colleagues are saying filler words, and when you're watching podcasts and they're saying filler words too, it'll make you more aware when you're saying these words, and that will speed up the process. So with these 3 tools, I want you to go weave a better world with your words. But remember this, if you remember one thing from today's speech. If in doubt, breathe in instead of out. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Oh, microphone. There you are.
What an excellent speech. Thank you very much, Steph.
Oh, yeah.